Yeah, Matrix Reloaded is the second one. You've seen it. Okay. Do you remember at the end he goes in and he sees Vint Cerf, and Vint Cerf is like they've rebuilt it 5 times or something like that. And then you're like, your mind is blown. So we've built at least 5 different GUIs for YT. And so the machines have nothing on us, right? We've we've built a bunch of different attempts at it, and I think we finally figured one out that's going to move forward. Okay, so we call it widgets. Now, there are different ways to access YT in an interactive way. Chris showed you 2 of my favorites, YT IDV and Napari as well. Napari, it's a full-fledged software package that he has written an interface for. Widgets is lower level. Okay, or not lower level. Widgets is less ambitious. The idea behind it is to provide small subsets of useful interactivity. Okay. Right now, it needs another release, but it turns out that something in the CI pipeline has bit rot, so we got to work on that today. So we're hoping to get a release out really quickly, but it's built on Jupyter IPython widgets, which are mechanisms in Jupyter of retaining state and whatnot. Has anyone here ever used widgets? How many of you are interested in hearing just a little bit about widgets? Yeah. Okay. So widgets, I always teach this right away in my data viz class where they don't do any scientific computing. Or that's not true. We do a little bit, but I always present it right away because it's like super, super useful. So if you have a Jupyter notebook open, I want you to go ahead and follow along a little bit with me and ignore this first part. We're going to import widgets. Okay. So the very first thing we are going to do now is we're going to say widgets int slider. And we'll assign that to my slider.
Which lesson is this?
Oh, this is lesson
9.
11?
No,
9?
I think
11. But there was a counting error.
Sorry, it's lesson. Okay.
9 was volume rendering.
Right. On the thing, it's 10. Right. It is the 11th lesson because I forgot to number Chris's generic data loaders lesson. So that's 8.5.
On YouTube, we're correcting it.
Why are you doing
this? Because because the 8.5 doesn't work. There is not a notebook for this yet. I'm adding this part. This is me on the fly realizing I have extra 10 minutes that I'm going to impart additional or force you to listen to me for an additional amount of time. So now we've got my slider equals widgets.int slider. Now you can either type display my slider, or if it's the last thing in your cell, you can just type my slider. Okay. And now we've got a slider. Okay. And it drags back and forth. Now check this out. If I do my slider.value, 32. Okay. So this is cool, right? There's a bunch of these though. Let's check this one out. I like this one. Color equals color picker. Now color. And then all of a sudden, do that. And now I do color.value. It gives me the hex code for it. Okay. There are a ton of these. And you can build your own pretty easily. If you don't want to write HTML, you can build it out of other widgets. Like I could take ipywidgets.vbox for vertical box and have my slider on top of color. And there they go. They display. Okay. Now there's one other really neat thing you can do. I'm going to say ipywidgets. This will be my box. ipywidgets.int text. Okay, and now if I do my box, I can't type anything, but I can type a number in. And then you can do ipywidgets.link my box value to my slider value. Check this out. All of a sudden, see the slider right there? Oh, look at that. Okay. So this is really neat because it allows you to have like a total model view controller interface, which is something I've heard people talk about in software engineering, and as something that's good. So we've got our view here. And the other neat thing about this is, you see how I've got color right here and I've got color right here? Because they always refer to the same thing, they will stay in sync. Okay. There's one very last thing I'm going to show you, which is how we sort of bring some of it all together. I'm going to say import matplotlib.pyplot as PLT. I'm going to import numpy as NP. I'm going to say x equals np.mgrid, and here I'm using the mgrid thing that I mentioned before. 0 to 10, 256 steps. Now, if I were to write a function like def plot period with period as an argument, I could do plt.clf. You don't actually have to do CLF, so I won't. plt.plot x np sine of x times period. Okay. Now, if I were to do plot period, let's say 2. There we go. It plots it, right? Check this out. If we decorate this function with ipywidgets.interact, period equals, let's say 0.0 to 10.0 with a step of 0.01. What it does is every time that widget gets updated, it calls the function again. The new value. Okay. Now there's like a ton of depth to all this stuff. So you can specify this in much more complicated ways. Like I could pass color in here and do all that. I'm not going to go into that. That's not the important part. The important part here is we can do really neat, simple data exploration and analysis and all that stuff with just this. Okay. And not only that, the Jupyter devs are like full steam ahead on maintenance and new features on this stuff. So we decided a while back we were going to try to leverage all of this. So what we've done is we've built out, and I'll show you the first one. Let me load a data set. Let's see, did I get Primordial Star all the way yet? No, it's still going. I was having trouble yesterday on the Wi-Fi, so I don't have Primordial Star. So we're going to go back to our old favorite, isolated galaxy. ds equals yt.load sample isolated galaxy. Okay. We have created what is called a dataset viewer. And it's a little clunky. We're working on figuring out the best way to, make this easier to use and whatnot. But we built out a dataset viewer. Okay. Let's see if I can't collapse that without collapsing the rest. And so what it does is it shows you all your fields like we've seen before. It also has a parameters viewer. You can browse through the parameters, and Enzo notoriously has like 10,000 lines of parameters in each of its output files. And I don't think that's an exaggeration. I think it is on that order. But it knows how to collapse them into JSON. It'll show you some of the parameters of this system. But we also have some pretty simple data set viewing as well. And so this is just the grid structure. It is also possible to do particles, but it's not as easy. I will show particles in just a moment, but again, it is a little annoying. And you can do neat stuff like here, let's do Z on. Here, we'll do a keyframe for Z. Let's go to isometric, add a keyframe there. Zoom way in and add a keyframe. So if you really wanted, you do some neat zooming and playing of animations, right? Oh, there we go. Definitely doing exactly what I expected. I think it is hitting the right things, but it's like going the long way around. But you can also do, here, let's see, DSV. And this is, like I said, this is a little annoying. But we can add particles to it.
Show us how you got started again.
Yes. So we can add here, I'll do that in just a second. I've got particles added, and you can do subsets of particles. You can scale the radii and so on. It's not amazing, and it's just points. We've been working on like a kind of a crummy SPH viewer for it, but it's not incredible yet. So this right here is Widgyts dataset viewer. And I'm specifying ds equals ds, which despite being a tautology is necessary. And then I call DSV widget. This may not work for you because, like I said, we're trying to rebuild we're going to try to spin a release of it tonight. And I am genuinely sorry that we weren't able to get that out. It's on me. Please take out your frustrations on my Yelp page. This is a little clunky, and to be honest, this is not as useful as it could be yet. We are still working on that. I want to show you something that I'm really pleased with, though, with widgets. So I'm going to start a new notebook. And this time, all I'm going to do is import widgets and YT. And so if you are able to install widgets, this will work for you. This one does not rely on any of the new features. So if you're able to pip install widgets, and remember it's WIDGYTS, it should work for you. I'm going to say ds is yt.load sample. We'll go back to our friend. Let me check on. No. Oh, it's ready. I will do that one in a second. I want to, as long as I'm already going a little off the wall, I'm going to be careful. So I've got ds is yt.load sample. I'm going to use what Corentin showed earlier today. I'm going to do a slice. So ds.r. And I want to slice along z. Does anybody remember how to slice along z with this?
2.
Yep. Colon, 0, 5. So 2 colons and then the coordinate. Then I'm going to say dot display density. So there is our galaxy. One of the downsides to this is that it does not log by default. So we got to click log for it to do it. But now you can pan, we can zoom a fair bit. If you want to be more deliberate with it, you can do this, but it's a fully slippy map.
You rotate around as well.
This is strictly 2D.
Check out VisPy.
You saw VisPy earlier with Chris. Napari uses VisPy.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So this is good for two-dimensional visualizations. So let's say ds.r, and this time I'm going to do ds.r, and then I'm going to integrate density along let's do the z-axis, and then I'll display density on that. And so this now projects through. It multiplies by the path length as it goes. And so now we get a slightly different looking galaxy, right? Now we've got, there are ways, I forget the keyboard shortcut to make it reset the color map. But there are ways to do that, and we dump all the color maps in there. And the neat thing about this in particular is that it's doing this on the full resolution data. So it's not downsampling it before it sends the image to your browser, because it doesn't send an image to your browser at all. It sends the entire data array, and then we have a WebAssembly routine that turns it into that pixel array that looks like an image. And so it's doing all of that right here in my browser, and so we can get pretty good responsiveness. And it bases it all on the Widgyts library and some stuff that we wrote for it as well. Now, note that I didn't do anything with widgets here beyond just importing it. When we import it, it adds on functions to our various two-dimensional, not three-dimensional, but two-dimensional data objects that allow for this. And it also dumps all of our color maps. Do we still have? Yeah, we still have Doom. So Doom takes the id software Doom palette and puts it in there. We've got all your favorite IDL color maps as well for some reason. Yeah. So widgets is a nice quick exploratory thing that we can do. Let me see if I can load the primordial star data set. Okay, it goes up to 8 levels. That's good, right?
Do you got any others?
It's still downloading. And it just broke. I've been having some Wi-Fi issues. So let's integrate along the Z-axis. Color map, let's log it. Is it right in about here? Because with 8 levels, it's not going to be quite as pronounced, right? You know what? Now I'm embarrassed. I don't remember the button to reset the color map. But yeah, this all right there in the browser. So it's reasonably fast. And we've ported it also so that you can have standalone web servers that have the access to the arrays, and then it requires no server-side processing in order for people to be able to do slippy maps on it. And so that's widgets. There's more that we intend to do with it, but the nice thing about it is that it doesn't have to be all-encompassing, because you can intersperse this with your existing Jupyter workflows. It works nicely with Matplotlib. Matplotlib also has Jupyter widget-based interface. So it works nicely with all those different things, and we can continue to expand it without having to eat an entire dinosaur to do it. I think that's what I had to say about it.
Great, thank you, Matt. All right, once again, about 10 minutes early for coffee, as is our way. So let's over caffeinate.